Hi guys, I'm Nadia, a self-taught artist and just someone who can't stop creating art or anything else really. I am so excited to share my new piece in this video. So today I'm working on the second part of my personal project that I started in the previous video. If you haven't seen that one yet, go check it out after this. I did change the plan a little bit though. Instead of drawing another canvas ornament, I decided to go with something different, but still related, a sculptural fragment, the marble head of Athena. I think it will go perfectly with the first piece and look amazing as a pair on the wall. So why do you want to watch this video and maybe draw along? I'll show you how I get my drawings to look realistic, how I improve values. This drawing can be a great study and practice for improving your drawing skills. So don't hesitate to join me. I'm looking forward to see your results. You can definitely share your work in my freshly created Telegram channel. Go ahead and scan this QR code. I'll be happy to see you there. Share your work, share your thoughts, discuss your concerns, and just connect with other artists like you. And now let's get started. Alright, so I've got my paper ready. I'm using Strathmore Mixed media vellum surface paper. As you can see, I marked out an 8x8 square. That's the size of the window in my matting. I've got my reference here on my iPad, and for you guys I'll put it on the left side of the screen so you can practice along if you want. So I'm starting with a 2B pencil, just making some light, loose marks to figure out the placement of the head. I don't want the head to be too small or too big. So what I'm really doing here is trying to figure out the angles, the main directions that shape the head's outline. I'm keeping my lines really light. You can barely see them right now, but that's just how I like to start. I'm aiming for precision in the beginning, but that's just my way of doing it. If you feel more comfortable making bolder marks, go for it. There's no one right way here. I usually measure things roughly in my head and then place the line. So I'm trying to define where the center of the head is. I want it to fit my square on the page from the very top of the head to the very bottom of the neck. I'm not going to include that black base, so I made this straight horizontal line indicating the center of my composition. I want to see what will go on top of that line and what goes on the bottom. So if I divide this portion into two and I make a line from here halfway through from the bottom of the neck and to the middle line, and see what we have across that line. So it can be the bottom of the bottom lip. That's another orientation mark. Here I can approximately put this mark here for the chin and continue building the outline of the silhouette of the head. So now I want to measure the width of the face and the height of the face. Again, using my pencil to see what relationship they have between each other. So I basically made this cross. I will give you the visuals on the left side so you understand me better. So I'm not using straight lines, vertical or horizontal line. I have this kind of cut off edge to use as a guideline. My width of the face equals to the height of the face. So basically this measurement. Now I want to see where the neck will go. This time I'm gonna make a vertical line going through the center. Basically this will be a center of my square as well. Usually I don't make these guidelines, but for you to understand my process better, I will do it. According to this line, I also want to see where this line goes on my head and see what goes on the left or goes on the right. And now since I have this middle line, I can decide where the neckline is in relation to this vertical line and how vertical actually the lines of our neck is. Don't worry if the lines are not precise yet. This is a very beginning and we're going to adjust many times. Okay, I want to see the level of the bottom of the nose now. And again, if I look at our horizontal line here, I see how far down the bottom of the nose goes in relation to this horizontal line. And then I want to make this angle from the chin to the tip of the nose. I wanted to mention here that I use so-called sighting method for measuring. So the sighting method is basically a way to measure what you see, like comparing sizes, angles, and proportions without using a ruler. You just use your pencil as a measuring tool. This method is mostly used by people drawing from life, but it comes in handy when you draw from a photo as well. You hold your arm straight out, lock your elbow, and line up your pencil with what you're observing. Then you transfer that same measurement to your drawing. It helps you keep things in proportions. Just a quick way to double check that what you're drawing actually matches what you see. Now let's see where the edge of the nostril is on one vertical line and how the eye lies on that line. So if I make this straight line where I think the nostril is, where the eye would be in relation to this vertical line. I can see that about 1/3 of the eye falls to the left of that line and the rest stays on the right. I also notice how other features line up along that same line, like how the lips and chin relate to it. I use this method to figure out where every feature goes, as well as the angles of the silhouette and other details. Here I'm figuring out the placement of the ear. I'm using a horizontal guideline that goes through the bottom of the nose along with the central line to find the top point of the ear. I can see that the ear sits just a little higher than both of those lines. So I see that the neckline will be further away from here. So the curve on the neck starts higher than this point here. I just made a horizontal line here to check where the curve on the neck here starts, to make sure that I make the right outline here. I'm gonna get rid of some of the unnecessary lines, the lines that make me get distracted. Okay, and let's check now the head. Here, I think that in this section here, the line here is a little too short. Let's check this proportion, the length of the face from chin to this top and how it relates to this measurement. So I see that this size is longer than this size on a little bit. I need a longer pencil. Okay, I'm gonna use another pencil. So this size is longer than this part on a little bit. So this portion should be a little longer. So I think it's okay to have my head a little bit too stretched to the borders, too close to the borders basically. I have no space around it. I think that might work in this composition because I have matting around this square and that will create extra space. All I care is that I have enough space in front of her face, here in the front where her eyesight goes toward, so that make me feel good about the overall composition. I want to remove all these guidelines. Right now they're distracting me more than helping me. Let's check if we put the eye in the right spot. What I'm gonna do is to measure this distance from the bottom of the eye to the bottom of the nose and how this size goes on the bottom from this point to the chin. Okay, right now I have like that Now let's see how we see it in the reference. According to my measurements, it's on the right spot. The edge of the nostril, according to the reference, should be somewhere here, because if I make this line, or if that is not the right logic, we can... Okay, I think I see my mistake here. I put this bottom lip and the whole chin, this part, a little bit too further away from this line, from this vertical. So I'm gonna fix that. So when I draw the hair, we know it's made of rock, so there's no strands of hair we need to draw, just the volume. So we simplify as much as we can and we work on the details later on. So what I'm doing here is indicating the darkest spots, which is like creases in the rock landscape of the hair. Okay, so here what I have at the end of constructing the head, and now it's time to start shading. I'm gonna start shading with a pencil that is soft. I think I'm gonna use even woodless pencil. This is a very soft pencil. It says 4B, but it feels it's even softer than 4B. But nevertheless, you can use a regular pencil, softer pencil 2B will work. You can use 4B as well, or even 6B. The reason I'm using a softer pencil because I'm going to create a light shading. I need the graphite to be soft so I can easily smudge it, blend into one even layer. With the harder pencil, I wouldn't be able to do that. Harder pencils usually create very thin, kind of stiff layer shading, so it's extremely light. You can't create this quick base for the further improvement of the value. Okay, so basically without overthinking, I'm just gonna go over every single part of this drawing. I'm going to hold the pencil almost horizontal and create very, very light shading. I'm not pushing on the paper at all. It's very, very light. And if you make some uneven shading with a soft pencil, soft graphite, it can blend in very evenly after all. Just do it very lightly. Kind of creating a soft cushion. Now I'm going to blend the whole head, making this light circular movements. Very light. Don't over blend it, because if you over blend it, the graphite can get into paper and clog it too early. So it'll be more difficult to apply further layers. Now the first layer looks smoother. I'm going to use a sheet of paper for protecting the drawing from smudging. And I'm gonna use pencil 2B to start next layers of shading. I'd like to start with the eye. I'm going to apply more shading in the darker areas, and at the same time making more alterations if needed, usually in the detail, emphasizing on the shape, the line, so I don't lose the proportions I've created. I noticed that a lot of beginners shade different parts of the face, different details separately. What I recommend you to do, shade it in one plane. If you see similar values of different details, shade them in one plane. Let's say I have upper lid here and this part of the face above the eye. I'm gonna shade it in one plane. And even the eyeball, I'm gonna shade in one plane because they will share the same value. This way we make the drawing more cohesive, the details not falling apart. I want to emphasize some of the lines. Make it more obvious and pronounced. The eyelid have a thickness. I'm going to define the nostril shape. The nostril, actually this corner of the nostril goes further on the left than this edge of the lip. So I'm gonna fix that. Here's the mouth opening. I'm gonna emphasize the outline of it. Alright, here I've started adding more shading to the darkest areas under the chin, along the neck, and on the side of the face. I'm still using the side of the soft pencil. I build up the shading gradually, layer by layer. Here I'm defining the structure of the hair. Since our head is made of marble, the hair has more of a structural form with clear edges, creases and valleys, kind of like a simplified version of real hair. My goal here is to sculpt the hair rather than draw individual strands. I start by outlining the main shapes of that intricate relief, then gradually move to smaller details. I'm not trying to copy it perfectly. Just to capture the overall sense of structure and lightness. I'll speed up the process a bit here and start shading some details and defining the values more clearly in a bit. Okay, now I want to make another layer of blending. And working again, applying more and more layers of shading. Now it's time to sharpen our pencil. The darker the value you want to get, the sharper your pencil should be, the softer pencil you use. I'm using sandpaper to make the pencil even sharper. I will need 4B, and I'm gonna sharpen them too. Ready to work. I'm going to shade more than blending. Blending should be very delicate now and precise in smaller areas and details, not in a larger areas, because I don't like this greasy parts, because it creates the surface not even and kind of bent. I still have room to improve here. That will allow me to blend this into the blending planes. Still using 2B pencil. I am going to move the eye a little bit on the left. I don't feel that it's on the right spot. Still making some alterations. And the reason why I do that, because at the time I was constructing the head, I didn't see it. That's the only reason. If you don't see it, you don't correct it in time. So you have to correct it later. And that's okay. It's not that critical. So I'm going to use my kneaded eraser, make a sharp, narrow tip, and lighten up this corner of the eye. This is my pen style eraser. I can use it too. Sculptural forms or statues are great subject for practicing values. Take a look at the hair. It's already simplified, so we can easily to see where the light and dark areas are without getting lost in every individual strand. We can observe it as one solid form, because that's exactly what it is. Now let's observe the hair and identify the value groups. Here will be the lightest areas, somewhere in this, the areas that opens up to the light source more. Here in this part, I will alter the values later. Obviously it's not entirely done yet, and this part will be lighter too on some of the parts of the face here. The darker parts will be in the shadow, in the creases and values here. I like to emphasize the shapes of different values, something like this. I like to outline the darker values, especially to make it easier to shade and create volume, create this kind of a complex relief. All right, let's continue working on the values. I see this edge of the chin here and the jaw, and I want to emphasize this edge so I see the form better. This is a blending stump. I want to use it for blending little spots where I want to make smoother look. Now I'm using a harder pencil. This is B. The reason why I switched to a harder pencil, because I want to get into those creases and values of the paper and make more solid surface, more solid value I wish I had HB pencil. I couldn't find it. I found though the pencil F, which is hard too, and I'm going to use it now to work on lighter values closer to midtones. Now I feel like working with the pencil B here. I'm going to create darker values with the pencil 2B and 4B, and when I complete most of the dark value on the skin, I'll be back to work on the hair. So I just found another imperfection in my proportions, specifically the nose. You saw it. I fixed it and I'm going to lighten up this area because it's supposed to be lighter. Alright, this is the second day. I just sat down and I want to see what work needs to be done in this drawing to completely finish it. It's already look close to the finish line and I want to work a little more on the valleys in the hair. I want to add more contrast in the darker spots. Okay, so I'm going to use pencils 2B, 4B. Let's squint our eyes and look at the values again. I want to darken this portion of the shadow on the face here. I need it to be darker. And still squinting my eyes, I see that I need some work in here, darken these spots and others. Though it's not very necessary to make the darkest value as dark as in the photo, you can decide what is your darkest value will be. You can create a low contrast drawing. It will be as beautiful and as realistic. Play with contrast. You can turn it on the low, you can put it on the high level, so it's up to you. We should move on to the highlights. And the highlights is something I always do as the finishing touches at the end. So I'm gonna use my pen style eraser to make these highlights. It's already good enough, but I want to emphasize the contrast to make these little forms to pop up. I'm using this pen eraser exactly as I would use a white pencil. So I'm basically drawing Okay, now I am cleaning up around the silhouette of the head, so the space around it clean and nice. Alright, so I finished this drawing. I want you to look at it closely. And now I want to add a few words describing what this head actually is. I'm going to use this empty space in this corner. And I also will add description for this piece. Now let's frame it. So before I frame, I spray the work with workable fixative from Krylon. It can be acrylic fixative as well to prevent the drawing from smudging too much. There we go. It's done. Would you put this kind of art on your walls in your home? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up, give it a comment, and don't forget to join me on my Telegram channel, draw with me and share your work. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!